All right, all right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know it's not that many people here, but the fact that it's recorded, and I'm able or anyone able to come back on it, is like such a, you know, an essence to me. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity. So a little bit about me. My name is Tiffany. Don't mind me if I'm looking shifting from side to side. It's just I'm looking. I have it on my Facebook, I mean my IG page, and I have it on the computer. So yes, thank you all for being here. My name is Tiffany Payne. I'm a mother of five, business owner, advocate, mentor, speaker. Um, and I was gracious to have all those titles because in the beginning of my life, I've never had those titles before. Like, I've never had a sense of like what my purpose was. I didn't even know, like, I was just living to work, work to live, live to work. I was just living to do that. And so I'm appreciative to really have those titles to my name so that I can be of a mentor, so I can be an advocate for people, because that's what it's all about. It's all about the community awareness. And so just going back about how I started and how I really got to where I am right now. And it all takes place 2014. That's when everything kind of shifted for me. But it really started, I would say, but even before then, when I was just an upcoming of my age, getting to know of a responsibility, knowing of an adult, growing into adulthood. They say you start an adult as when you're 18, but to me, I felt like I was earlier because I was on my own a lot for the majority. My mom, she raised me, single mother. My dad wasn't always present in my life, barely ever. So she raised me, but she really didn't raise me because she was working so much, working so hard to maintain the household. And for a period of time, it was only for me until my brother had came in when I was 10. So for a lot of my time, I was a single young child, having no help, no siblings or anyone to really count on, but like cousins and stuff like that, the norm. But I was lonely, I didn't really have that growing up perspective, to have to lean on your sisters, to lean on your brother, So it was very fortunate for me to grow up with my grandmother who really took care of me. And she taught me life lessons and taught me how to be a proper female woman of today's society. And I remember just like growing up, like going to the bank with her and seeing her doing like these mini transactions. And it's like Saturdays was like the day. Like I always would stay with her like Friday night going into Saturday morning. And I remember that she would wake me up. She would get me prepared, make me some breakfast, and she get my hair done. We would do so many like essence of a woman, like getting our hair done, getting our nails done, being around other women and talking and inspiring. It was just very fruitful to hear. And so when we were doing that, she would also take me to the bank with her. She would be doing these transactions. We would just do a lot, a bunch of things. And I remember just looking up at her and awe, just like seeing how she was so pleasant and just like she didn't have like no worrisome. She didn't have that, the craziness or anything to distract her. She was just always persistent about her ways. And I just really was in awe of that. And I remember like one time, like growing up, like she was like always sending me these applications and forms to fill out. And I'm like, Nana, why are you giving me these forms? Like, what am I filling out? And she's like, I want you to understand how to fill out an application. I want you to know how to fill out a check, how to balance a check, how to deposit money into your account. And it didn't dawn on me then that she was like setting me up for success later on. But because like then I was just like, okay, you're giving me all this paperwork, like for what? But it really instilled in me like she was really preparing me like how to fill out forms, how to really do upkeeping of your finances and your accounting and your business. You know, it really makes a difference. And these are the tools that they don't teach you in school. You know, these are life lessons. And unfortunately, some people don't always have that. You know, some people don't know how to balance a checkbook. Some people don't know how to even open up an account, you know? So I was very gracious and fortunate to have those aspects. I really wish that she really was able to point me in the direction of how to succeed and how to really for like really put my money to where I need to be successful, because it was life lessons learned during the way that made me to who I am now. Because she didn't teach me so much things because she had a lot of things going on health wise. She wasn't able to do that. So I had to learn through those lessons that was lost, you know. So at this time, you know, here I am, growing of age. I went to three high schools, all taught me different lessons of life. My first high school taught me how to be responsible. Like that was the first high school I went to Cathedral High School in the South End. That one was really taught me how to be like where I was who I am, like the sense of the standards of the real world. My second high school was Northeast Metro Tech. It taught me the real life skills of how to get into the medical background that I have on me for proof, you know. So I was able to get my certificate in my nursing for my CNA license in 11th grade, and I was able to actually start working as a CNA in the 12th grade because I was already 18 years old. So I was very fortunate to get that and those skills that I was able to acquire at such a young age. And my third high school, which was my senior year, was Woburn High. That taught me a lot of sense of responsibility. Um, my mom, of course, was working a lot. I was taking care of the house when she wasn't around, taking care of my younger brother, also having a car, having a job, just a full blown adult, even though I was only 18, you know? So that really taught me a lot about who I will become and how I become later on, you know? So here I am now getting out of high school, you know, doing what I do, having jobs, working, seeing my mom doing what she was doing. So I thought that that was just how the way to live, working to pay Peter, to pay Paul, working this job to do this, doing this job to do that, going back and forth. I was exhausted, but I was still on that grind because that's what it was back then in 2008, 2006, like from 2006 to 2009. Like everyone's on that grind, everyone's doing what they got to do. And that really led to some undercover depression that I was battling with. I didn't really recognize it at the forefront because here I am, you know, I'm just young. I'm just doing what I do, going out at night, getting up 4 a.m. We all know the thing, you know, getting up, going to work the next day after going out from the clubs and stuff like that. That was just the life. That's what we did, you know, to maintain our social aspect, you know, not knowing that we had all these undercover um, battling depressions going on, these anxieties, all this stuff that was going on, you know. So I was just doing that until I met my significant other in 2009. And we just kind of sinks into much more maturity, more relationship, more, you know, being together and stuff like that. And I was still working 2 and 3 jobs, holding it down because I was just raised on that maintain. Like I was not meant to rely on a man because I never had a man to show me the way of how to really do what I had to do. Yeah, I had uncles and some cousins, but they weren't really leading me like life lessons and stuff like that. So I never relied on him from any financial aspects or anything. I was just my own independent self. You know, that's just what I was. To seeing my mom and grandmother do what they do. So here I am, still working, still providing, still doing what I got to do, but also having a relationship as well. And, you know, here comes 2010, where I ended up getting pregnant with him, and we had our first child. And everything was fine. Everything was good. You know, pregnancy was well, had a good time. Three, raising one child, and you two, you know, your significant others with you, but now you're adding on not one, not just now two more babies to the equation, and life just alters and so dramatically in so many different ways. You know, so at this point, I'm just like, okay, well, here I am. I'm working. He's working. We can do this. It's not no like geological expressions from a math equation that we have to fill out. This is life. This is what happens. So everything is fine on until the fact that the job that I'm working is very, very physically demanding. And at this point, it's just like, you know, you have to start slowing down. It's not, hey, pick up shifts, here you go, you know, do what you got to do. No, you have a daughter at home that you still care for, and you're pregnant with twins that's weighing heavy on you. This is you, and not only that, your body hasn't recovered. Your body hasn't recovered since you just had your baby almost a year ago. So I don't know if people ever tell people that your body really needs to adjust 2 years, give and take 2 years for your body to be back to normal. Yeah, they say it's a year, but it's actually 2 years because your body, when you have your baby, you're still adjusting to motherhood. Your body's in motherhood mode. You're preparing your baby to be there. You're breastfeeding your baby, you're caring for your baby, so it still has the elements of the baby still inside you, let alone the baby that was inside you for the 9 months that you're still gonna backtrack on. So it give or take 2 years, it really does to really bounce your body back, you know, your wellness, everything. So I didn't even give that time frame back for my body to really give it to where it was needed. You know, my body was still like, hey, okay, you're pregnant again. Like, what's up? Like, what's going on? You know? So at this point, my body is physically demanding. The work I'm doing is demanding. And they was like, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to be on bed rest. And that's it. You know, you cannot do any more strategic work. You're going to have some support at home because you're not going to be able to do this. And, you know, that's all fine. I ended up telling my significant other that, you know, I'm sorry that I'm going to have to check out of work for a couple of months until the baby comes, and you're going to have to be the sole provider. And he said, you know, that's no problem. That's what, you know, that's his position. That's what his role was, to be there as a supportive partner, supportive husband, supportive parent and dad, you know. So we had no problems with that. As he was shifted to another job title, another job workplace, it was not a big issue. So at this point, I'm still having my daughter with me. I'm raising the babies, and bills started to get there. They weren't there a little bit, but they were starting to climb up. And I was starting to like recognize that, hey, we're late on this payment. We're kind of a little late on this other one. Are we going to backtrack? Are we going to be okay? Yeah. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to be good. You know, this is what he tells me. And, you know, for so long, it's just like, okay, that's good. You know, I'm able to do what I got to do and provide and, you know, go about our day. So here we are. 2012 comes. That's when I have my boys. I ended up having them a little bit early, a month early. So they was premature by 34 weeks, and they were born healthy, but they were, of course, had to be sent to the NICU, which put a little bit strain on just the whole dynamic of our whole family, you know, because I had my daughter still, who was like 1 year old, and I had these new two little healthy boys that were in the NICU that I had no clue on how to raise them, especially of them being 4 pounds. I had no idea of how to even go about or even to like, you know, take care of them because it was so like demanding, let alone that when I have them, I ended up going into premature labor. I was in premature labor when I had them. I had no idea about anything. Like, I had them. All I remember is I was at a meet. I was at. I was in the waiting room. They found me passed out on the floor, and they sent ambulance to tell them to bring me to the maternity emergency ward because they couldn't wake me up. I was unconscious, and with that, they shipped me to the hospital, and they told me they had to take my babies out immediately because I was under so much distress. They ended up getting preeclampsia and another syndrome that is not very common, but is common in the whole maternity is HELLP syndrome, which is HELLP. That HELLP syndrome is what I also had got. So when I ended up having them, I didn't wake up out of my consciousness for almost a week. I was laid in my hospital bed for almost a week, not knowing anything, not knowing what happened. Is my baby's alive? Am I okay? Anything. I woke up in the ICU room, and they're looking at me like, "Are you okay?" Everyone comes running in and says, "She's awake, she's alive, she's up, she's this," and I was just like, "Oh my goodness, this is crazy. This is so like I can't even imagine." So at this point, I'm just like, they sent all these doctors and, they're telling me what happened. And I was just like, still out of it. But they were like, you are here. You're going to be here for some time. So just get adjusted and, we'll do how we have to do. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, I'm in the hospital. I hope I get better, but I just want to see my babies. Are they healthy? Are they alive? And they're like, yes, they're alive. And they sent them down in this little box. And I remember I was crying my heart out. Just like, what is going on? What has happened? Like, what? I can't believe this has happened to me. So a few weeks later go by, I ended up getting out of the discharge from the hospital. My babies had to stay because they weren't ready to come back. But with that, my significant other really held back a lot of information from me. He didn't really dispel a lot of things like what was going on financially. Is everything okay? Yet we did move into a new apartment before we had the babies. So everything was like nice. It was in a loft apartment. Everything was okay, but we still were struggling financially, and he did not let me know that. So at this point, going back, seeing my babies, they ended up discharging my babies. We're getting adjusted to life, having him here, him there. It was just a lot. Then comes the news. He got laid off at his job. How in the world are we able to even survive at this point? He's not working. I'm not working. We have bills up to the yin yang. And it's just like, what do we do at this point right now? So, of course, I'm still healing. I barely was even walking at this point. I had no strength, but I was making it be known. Yeah, we had some support, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I mean, we had three babies under the age of 1 that was still being needed tending, love, and care from. And even though we had each other and we had the time, we still needed other support as well. But at this point, what could we do? We had to tend to our kids, to our babies, and do what we had to do as parents. And it just got so much that I couldn't sleep at night, even though of course, I wasn't even sleeping either because I have 2 kids. She's saying, can't hear. Oh goodness, I'm sorry. So I had 2 kids that that just needed me all around the clock, breastfeeding here, breastfeeding there, not knowing what I could do, not knowing any of this information. So I'm just like, okay, what do? I ended up talking to him, And I said, I know you're having a hard time. I know that you don't have a job right now. It's probably going to take you some time and obviously to get a paycheck. Is there a way that you can, is there a way that you can allow me to go to work? Now, that sounds as crazy as it does, but that's what I was thinking to myself, like, wow, okay, she may have to go back to work. And I literally only had 6 weeks of being home to even do anything, to even count for that, let alone I was